So if you followed me as a musician, or maybe you're a friend or family member that's followed me along my musical journey the past couple of years, you might have noticed recently an uptick in things labeled Red Moon Recordings. I'm going to talk a minute about what that is about because it's been a long road to get here with a couple interesting twists and turns, but I want to share what I'm doing, why it's important to me, and how I hope it'll make an impact on the local music community. So my name is Brent Funkhauser. I'm an Americana singer-songwriter, originally from the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, living up nowadays in Reston, Virginia, up in Fairfax County, kind of close to DC if you're unfamiliar. I started playing music first when I was a kid and then started doing gigs when I was in late high school and have continued on until today. Some of my accolades are being the opening act for a couple large national touring acts. I've got over 400 shows underneath my belt. I've got an album that I put out in 2021 and some other singles. And just overall in the past couple of years, I've really enjoyed engaging with the work and getting deeply involved in making music. Back in 2022, I was ramping up the amount of gigs I was doing, and I was starting to think about it a bit more seriously. And I thought, it might be worthwhile to open up an LLC to kind of keep some of the financial stuff separate, also to kind of help with the liability and just general organization. It was something that I'd thought about doing for a long time, but had never really followed through on it because I just simply didn't know how. And when I released my last record, I put a label name on it, and it was Red Moon Recordings, and so I decided, as I founded this organization, I would stick with that name.
Hey there, darling, do you catch my jive? Would you join me for a Somerset late night drive? Try to evoke some old memories. It's been
Red Moon was a song I wrote back in 2017, 2018 maybe. Kind of about living in the past while going through change. Bit of a nostalgia song. I don't know. I'm nostalgic. But I was extremely proud of that song, and I latched onto the Red Moon symbolism on a lot of different stuff. I've got stickers, I got t-shirts, all this stuff, and so the Red Moon thing has been a pretty core part of my music identity for a long time. So 2022, I create the LLC, I start playing a lot more gigs. Flash forward the next year, and things are getting a little bit hectic. I'm playing way more gigs than I had previously ever done before. In a very short period of time, it was putting a lot of stress in my life. I had to kind of reevaluate how I was approaching music. It was a difficult period coming out of that, and it required me to change in a lot of ways that I wasn't expecting, and really reconnect with the reason that I liked making music in the first place. The artistic expression, the opportunity to heal through songwriting, and just like getting back to that idea of a good song at the core of everything. But also another thing that had kind of stuck out was community. When I moved up to Northern Virginia in 2021, I didn't really know anyone else that was doing music up here at the time, maybe a couple of people, but not very many. And it was pretty difficult for a while, I kind of struggled to connect with our people in the community. It was also still kind of the middle of COVID when I moved up here, which made it even more difficult. But eventually I started connecting with people in the local scene, whether at open mics or online, or through one thing I'd started doing for a while called the Rising Virginia Americana playlist. This was a Spotify playlist that I was curating for about a year back between 22 and 23, and the idea was to put a highlight on Virginia roots music artists of every size. Didn't matter if you're country, Americana, blues, whatever. You could be a national touring act, you could be someone that just plays at the local coffee shop and has a few songs on Spotify. The whole idea was to get all these artists from Virginia in one place online and just highlight and promote them. And it was a fun exercise, and I met a lot of people through that, and that actually helped me get connected with a lot of people in the local music community up here too. The playlist is still up on Spotify if you want to check it out. I'll link it down below. I don't update it very actively anymore, but I did recently do an update with some other artists in the area who have had really good releases recently, or who just, I appreciate the music. So worth checking out if you like that kind of thing. And then in that process too, I also just really fell in love with my home state's roots music community. I mean, there are so many really great artists making roots music here in Virginia. Virginia isn't really commonly associated with music in general, and especially with roots music, I find that odd because Virginia is often considered the birthplace of country music thanks to the Bristol Sessions and the Carter family, and in my opinion, that's really odd that hasn't carried over till today. You don't hear very many country singers talking about being from Virginia, even though there are a lot of country singers from Virginia. But I do think there's a general trend that Virginia often isn't looped into the conversation on country music, which is a damn shame because there are so many really talented artists operating in this area. And so going back to the idea of community, in 2023 I started putting together the Songwriter Circle series called The Traveling Round, where we would go around to different communities and pull in singer-songwriters from that area and do a Nashville-style songwriter round. It was really cool. We did 4 events, and I really enjoyed every single one of them. But at the start of 2024, I was asked by a local venue owner, Michael DeMarco from Earp's Ordinary, if I wanted to do a songwriter round at their venue in Fairfax, which Earp's Ordinary has been really supportive of me through the years and has been a way for me to meet so many other artists in this local area. And so it went from being like at 4 shows in 2023 with the Traveling Around to doing a frequent songwriter circle at Earp's for, I mean, we've probably done 10 at this point, at least, since the start of the year. And as I began doing more of those, I started to realize, like, I kind of like this organization part of it. I like putting on these shows, but I also want to do maybe some more stuff, maybe some different stuff. And so I started organizing and promoting a couple different shows there. And as I was doing that, I was starting to think about more and more how I want to interact with music, how I want that to be a part of my life. Because even though I still consider myself a singer-songwriter and an artist first, I was doing a lot of different activities than I had done before in music. Concert production and promotion was something totally different to me, but it was also something that I wasn't like totally unfamiliar with. I'd done an internship with the Shenandoah Valley Music Festival, organized a number of other events over the years, mostly for myself, but I thought it'd be really interesting to like start interacting with that local community a lot more. And so this forced me into looking at what I wanted to do with music, and I knew that I had this LLC and trying to figure out like, okay, how does that come into play? I had never really wanted to call Red Moon Recordings LLC anything official for a while. Like, I never wanted to say it was a record label or it was this, it was that, which even like landed me in some confusion because I went to the Southeast Regional Folk Alliance Conference, or SURFA, in 2023, and I had it printed on my name tag, Red Moon Recordings, and I had people coming up to me and was like, oh, do you have a studio? Oh, are you a record label? And I just kind of had to be like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what I am. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I decided to finally put a label on it this summer and finally just say, Red Moon Recordings LLC is an independent record label and concert production company based in Fairfax County, Virginia, that's mission is to create memorable experiences for audiences and fans and uplift the Virginia roots music community. Now here's the thing. How we accomplish that, I'm still kind of trying to figure out. There's a lot of avenues that I want to go through with that. I'm creating this event series called the Beltway Opry, which highlights roots music in the DC area. I've also been toying with the idea of bringing the Rising Virginia Americana playlist back, and even possibly creating some sort of compilation record that highlights different artists from Virginia. That's not set in stone. I have other stuff I need to figure out before I do that, but that's one of the things that's on my mind. Roots music connects with so many different people. It creates these amazing opportunities for community events, and I really believe that the Virginia music community is special. When I was in college at JMU in Harrisonburg, Virginia, there was a whole world of underground music there that was just filled with creativity, and not just roots music. It was a lot of different other stuff, indie, R&B, rap, rock, metal, but just the level at which some of these people were doing it artistically was incredible. I mean, I saw shows in basements that will be with me for the rest of my life. And maybe that's not unique to us, and maybe that's not a Virginia thing necessarily, but I can say without doubt that it was special. And it was important to me. Red Moon Recordings is very young and still in this very foundational stage of like, oh, what is this? Beyond just being like my company to put my music stuff through. But I hope a year from now we can look back and see Red Moon Recordings has made meaningful progress for the Virginia roots music community. Because it's really hard to do this alone. It is so hard to do anything in music and art alone. It is so much better when you have a good community of people to work with. And that's really what I want to focus on. So if that resonates with you, I hope you'll follow along, and I hope we can make some good change. I'm also going to start using this YouTube channel as kind of an outlet for that, whether I'm highlighting the things we're doing for Red Moon Recordings or just generally talking about music. I'm such a music nerd. Like, I live and breathe this stuff. I have conversations about this stuff, and I recognize I'm into it to a degree that is like a little bit weird. And that's fine. So that's the story so far. There's more to come with Red Moon Recordings. And so with that, I think I'll wrap this up. If you're interested in following along and seeing what we're doing, I have a link to my newsletter below. You can also subscribe to me here on YouTube. I'm Brent Funkhauser, proprietor, president, whatever the hell you want to call me, of Red Moon Recordings LLC, and I hope I'll see you soon.